I just wanted to give you an update along with President Sherry Franklin on some things that are outstanding. First, opioids and MedBoard. There's been a significant overreaction to some LA Times articles about use of opioids. And what we're trying to do is make sure we apply the common sense in the legislature to apply the appropriate restriction of the opioids, but not go completely overboard. Same thing with the medical board. There's some folks who are saying let's abolish the role of the medical board in terms of enforcing or investigating and transition that to the attorney generals. So both for the opioid and the medical board, the intent is to try and apply some common sense improvements as opposed to wholesale slaughter. The medical workforce, there are 3 issues on the table that were being worked on in the Capitol. First is to fund UC Riverside. Second is to make sure that when the feds cut GME slots that we replace those, because if you remove those GME Reed residency training slots, again, that's fewer physicians being trained in California. The third thing is to expand the Steve Thompson program so that we have more physicians who are able to work off their medical school bills in underserved areas. And some of those, by the way, are in rural San Diego, and some of them are in urban San Diego. Next item is top docs, the selection for 2013 Physicians of Exceptional Excellence. It starts on Thursday. What's really important for the solo, small, and medium-sized group physicians to recognize is the executive committee has approved a change that makes the selection opportunity for those folks not practicing in large groups concomitant with their representation. So for those of you who have said, hey, we never get selected anyway because we work in a solo, small, and medium-sized group, we have fixed that problem. But the one problem we can't fix is if you don't vote. So I encourage everybody to participate. Item next is the annual report. Next week I will send everybody a PDF version of the annual report. I think you'll be suitably impressed by all the work that your medical society is doing. Of note, we are either number 1 or number 2 medical society in the state of California, depending on which set of numbers you use. Next item is the inaugural, when we say goodbye to President Sherry Franklin and welcome to President incoming Bob Peters, occurs on the 8th of June. It's a great party. Strongly encourage you to participate and come out and have a good time. Next item is that the Medi-Cal dual program, where the idea that people who receive Medi-Medis, or they're called the Medi-Medis, who receive Medi-Cal for parts of their medical care, Medicare for other parts, the intent was to move everybody in that program to receive their Medi-Cal reimbursement through Medi-Cal managed care. That program has been delayed another 3 months to the 1st of January of 2014. Item next is the Medi-Cal rates. Everybody knows that they're preposterously low. The governor's brilliant idea was, hey, let's cut those by another 10%. At the same time, we're expanding the number of Medi-Cal patients. My kindergartner could figure that one out. That ain't going to work. So as a result, we have got very strong bipartisan support in the legislature to prevent the governor from cutting Medi-Cal rates, the abysmally low Medi-Cal rates, by another 10%. So that received unanimous support in its first hearing in a committee in the Capitol. Item next is CHAMPUS. Most of you know that CHAMPUS has transitioned from TRICARE to something I can't pronounce, run by United Healthcare. United Healthcare wasn't ready, big surprise. And as a result, people are having a real problem getting things authorized. The Department of Defense has authorized a waiver to the 18th of May for any pre-auths. Please read the News You Can Use, which is coming out. Essentially, you'll see this about the same time as you get your News You Can Use. There's a huge amount of good information in this News You Can Use, and I encourage you to read it carefully. Finally, on a less than pleasant note, H7N9, the virus that's showing up and has killed over 30 people in China. The good news is we do not appear yet to have seen any human-to-human transmission. The good news is it has not made it off the shores of China yet. The bad news is you and I both know that ain't going to happen, or that's not going to hold. In the News You Can Use that I'm publishing, you will see some very detailed instructions on if you suspect H7N9, what to do if you see it in San Diego. Remember, the 747 or 777 is the transmission vehicle of choice for those kind of viruses. And so what everybody is dreading is the idea that somebody gets on an airplane in China and shows up in the United States with H7N9. It is a very virulent bug. The only thing we're sure of so far is that it will move off of China. We're not sure when. Having said that, I'd now like to introduce our president, Sherry Franklin, who's going to talk about a couple of other topics. Sherry?
morning, everyone. So I wanted to update you on just a couple of things. First, we took the UCSD medical students up to Sacramento about a week ago. It was a fun time. It was about 16 of them, Dr. Bob Hertzka, myself, and Tom Gearing. We talked a lot about the scope of practice bills, which I'm sure you're familiar with. We've been discussing them now for a little bit. I'd like to let you know that there's been some movement in our direction with regards to optometry, physical therapy, and pharmacists. That's the good news, and you can thank CMA for that. Our lobbyists have been working very hard to make sure that physicians are protected with these bills. There's been little movement on the nurse practitioner front, which I'm sorry to say, but we're still working on that. The second thing I wanted to talk to you a bit about is MICRA. The trial attorneys are at it again, no surprise. They're pushing for a ballot initiative to eliminate MICRA's $250,000 non-economic cap. We're not sure if this is just a threat or if they're really moving forward with this. Everyone in the media looks a little puzzled, as are we. We're just going to sit back and watch a bit, although please believe me, there's going to be a significant fight if this does move. I think that's all I have.